ever a nation needed the patience, endurance, and divine inspiration of a living saint, it was the India that chafed under more than a century of rule under the British Empire. Incredibly, that saintly man appeared. He would lead the hundreds of millions of bitterly divided people of the world's second largest civilization out of colonial backwaters into an honored place in the family of nations. He would do it without ever holding a significant national office, and he would be assassinated for his brilliant devotion.
He's not a political figure. He never held an office. He wasn't elected to anything. He never ran for anything. And yet he just was the towering force over all of India.
Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was born in Porbandar, India, on October 2nd, 1869, of a modest business-class family.
He's a very shy kid, and by his own admission, he wasn't very good at anything, and he struggled to be a good student. He had very difficulty in speaking in public. He was very small. He was married at 13 or 14, so it was a very conventional life. There's nothing much in his early life that would give us any indication that this was a great soul or going to be a great man. He was packed off to England at 19 years of age to become a barrister, to become a lawyer. And he went over there and plunged into British society, took dancing lessons, but didn't work at all.
He returned to India and in the 1880s struggled to practice law.
It was hard for him to defend people he thought were guilty, and yeah, he was unsuccessful as a lawyer in Bombay.
It was in South Africa, to which he was hired to work for the downtrodden Indian minority, that he would find his calling, politically and spiritually, and the great themes of his life.
And he thought that was a microcosm of what was happening in India. So that was a training ground for him. For example, developing his leadership ability, his mass mobilization ability.
We went back to India in 1915. By this time, he was well known in India. What he had done in South Africa had traveled all over India.
On April 13th, 1919, British troops at Amritsar were commanded by Brigadier General R.E.H. Dyer to fire machine guns into a huge crowd of peaceful, unarmed Indian demonstrators who had been hemmed into a walled compound by his armored cars. Almost 400 died, with 1,200 wounded. Gandhi's days as a moderate were over. He began his nonviolent march to the end of British rule and to his death by assassination.
From now on, the path is clear for Gandhi, and he enters a sort of a cycle in which he organizes boycotts of British businesses, faces down the British, and he is thrown into jail. He fasts unto death. He's released. He goes back to his activities. Gandhi, for all of his frailty of physical appearance, had enormous stamina, great spiritual power. In fact, he was called Mahatma, great one.
American newspapermen couldn't get over the fact that here these Indians were being beaten on the head, and they would pick up the lathi or the stick and say, "Here, sir, you seem to have dropped your stick and you were beating me. Here's your stick back." And so this, I think, made Gandhi a world figure. Gandhi understood well that there are a lot of Indians and there are very few British. And if the Indians didn't cooperate, the whole empire would be shut down.
Gandhi said, "Cultivate the quiet courage of dying without killing." Step by nonviolent step, the astonished British were driven backward. In the war-torn 1940s, when Britain kept Indians out of the Allies' Atlantic Charter guarantee of human and political rights, Gandhi urged India out of the war and went to jail for it. But now he had driven the British Raj near its end, and India would be free in 1947. But Lord Mountbatten, the last Viceroy of India, would leave behind a bitter poison for independent India and Mahatma Gandhi, partition of India into two countries with the creation of Pakistan.
Worked all his life to keep Mother India together, and here this plan of partitioning India between the Muslim majority in what was later Pakistan and the Hindu majorities was just anathema to him. He couldn't live with it. He couldn't take it. I think it spiritually killed him.
With the coming of independence on August 15, 1947, bloody fighting between Muslims and Hindus broke out, and with it, deadly enmity to Gandhi's methods by Hindu hotheads.
He went to Calcutta, where the Hindus were really killing Muslims, and he moved into the Muslim quarter.
Gandhi earned the enmity of some of his fellow Hindus by chastising them and telling them that they had to live in concert with the Muslims.
It was a miracle because peace broke out wherever Gandhi walked.
But he couldn't be everywhere. Gandhi was much of an embarrassment to his own Congress party, criticizing it and his old friend Jawaharlal Nehru, first Prime Minister of independent India. He was sickened at the fratricide that was destroying India.
He knew his life, in a sense, was finished. I think he had already accepted death. Prayer meetings became his sort of outlet every day. And the police said, let us, search people. And Gandhi said, no, God protects me. Don't search anybody. Let him in.
Finally, out of this conflict came a plan to assassinate Gandhi. It was a rather ill-organized group of people who did this, although they came from an organization called Mahasabha.
Gandhi's words to his followers had been, if blood be shed, let it be my blood. For man lives freely only by his readiness to die, if need be, at the hands of his brother. He would soon be taken at his word. The plot to assassinate Mahatma Gandhi for his tolerance of Muslims was chaotic, but it had to its advantage a great place of concealment, the teeming masses of Indians that Gandhi exposed himself to without thought. In a shocking oversight, the police had failed to tell Gandhi of the arrest and confession of one of the plotters in a previously failed attempt to kill him. The human instrument of murder was to be 36-year-old Nathuran Godse. The date would be January 30th, 1948.
Godse positioned himself inside the compound of Gandhi, and at the appointed hour of prayer, Gandhi left his living quarters, the Birla House, and headed down a path towards the prayer house. He gets partway down this pathway, and Godse steps out in front of him. And he says, "You're late for prayers." And Gandhi says, "Yes, I am late."
Godse drew a small revolver from his shirt and fired 3 times at point-blank range at Gandhi as he clung to his 2 nieces. 2 bullets tore into the Mahatma's belly and 1 into his chest. Showing no apparent surprise or pain, he peacefully folded his hands in prayer and murmured, "I, Ram, Ram." Then he fell slowly backwards to the ground.
He uttered the words, "I, Ram, Ram," which were a greeting to Ram, the Lord that dwelled within and without. And it was a breaking of the cycle of birth and death and rebirth and re-death, a reuniting of Gandhi with the infinite.
Godse was immediately seized by the police. Gandhi would die in his house 2 hours later.
India went into mourning for 13 days. There was a huge funeral pyre that was erected by the sacred river. An enormous number of dignitaries attended the funeral.
All to honor a man who had never held a public office in India. A man who was not rich, whose total assets were something under $3 when he died.
Godse and the 9 conspirators were tried. Godse issued a 92-page statement in which he called Gandhi a traitor, a force of evil who would bring about a Muslim domination of India.
Nathuran Godse was found guilty and hanged at Ambala jail on November 15, 1949. A second conspirator was also hanged, and the others were sentenced to life in prison.
Einstein said future generations will be unable to believe that a man like this actually walked this earth.
India's world was changed ferociously. Without the calming hand of Mahatma Gandhi, whatever there was of ethnic moderation vanished. All of India paid the price of Gandhi's loss. None more expensively than Prime Minister Nehru, who was to lose a beloved child and a grandchild to murder. The woman